All right, welcome everybody to our skills call, our final skills call of September, and then we head into the last quarter of 2024. We build this business in 90-day cycles, so I'm super excited to lock arms with so many of you guys that are just have some laser beam focus about ending this year on a really strong note. So we always say, like, where do you want to be when the ball drops? And this is the time that you really ask yourself that and get to work towards those goals. You know, when you set goals in January and you think a year out, it's often hard for us to conceptualize, like, where will we be actually when the ball drops? How, like, that seems like forever away. And I really feel like this year just started like a few weeks ago, and here we are heading into the final quarter. So knowing that this business runs in 90-day cycles, knowing that we have some exciting things coming tomorrow. You guys are going to be so pumped about the holiday line that's dropping bright and early tomorrow morning, the different incentives that Arbonne has out for us. For many of you, it's your first year with a holiday line, your first year in Arbonne, and this is just a really exciting quarter where you get to see some really incredible things happen in your business. Our trainer tonight is the incredible Sarah Luhrmann, and Sarah is having some really exciting things happen in her business. She's in kind of a momentum building stage, and she's going to share all about that, but it's because she's made some intentional decisions over the last few weeks and she's backed them with action. It's one thing to make intentional decisions. It's another thing to actually do the actions that move those decisions forward. And so Sarah is somebody, if you know her, you love her. She just breathes life into everybody. She jumped in to do this call tonight where we had kind of a scheduling conflict and an opening, and we were like, Sarah is the person to speak to us tonight. So I'm super excited. I'm going to turn it over to you, Sarah. So just take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. And I would be remiss. I know that she's probably, I don't know if anybody else has been impacted by the Verizon outage today, but I had no cell service all day today for like literally 8 hours. So I'm like, like we all do, I'm like, I'm going to like brush up my training while I'm on the go. You guys, I had no cell service. So Carrie Kane was going to try to be on tonight. It is her birthday. So I would be remiss without wishing Carrie a happy birthday. I know she's going to watch the recordings that she couldn't be on live. So I hope she's having an awesome time with her family. So if we have never met before, hi, I'm Sarah Luhrmann, and it has been 8 years ago this November that I was introduced to Arbonne, which is incredibly difficult to believe. I was brand new to the town that we live in, and a really sweet and friendly neighbor who was a complete stranger to me invited me to a little Arbonne get together. And I did not want to go, not because she didn't seem real nice, but I am completely introverted, was not super on board with MLMs, the whole 9 yards. I had all the reasons to be like, nah, I'm good. But I did go. And of course, I showed up late and I probably stayed for 20 minutes and I left super early because I had a sick kid at home. But in that like 20 minutes that I was there, I met the neighbor who had invited me, who is the Carrie Kane. And I did get to hear like her presentation. And the thing that stuck out to me that night, and it has stayed with me ever since, is the power of this opportunity. At the time, her fourth child, Daniel, was a newborn baby. This was 8 years ago. And she was standing up here sharing about this amazing income opportunity when she had just birthed a kid like 8 weeks before. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what other business can you just like pop over to your neighbor's house, like have a little bit of wine, have a little bit of fun, pop back over and make that kind of income? So I was definitely intrigued, but I was also very, very skeptical. I'm a registered nurse by trade. So when I was introduced to this business, I was working as a telephonic case manager for an insurance company. And you guys, I loved my job. After about a decade working in intensive care at the bedside, I was finally home. I was working from home. It was like the absolute mecca of nursing. And I remember having a conversation with a friend at the time saying, like, you would have to pry this job from my cold, dead hands. Like, that is how much I loved what I did back when I was introduced to Arbonne. But as we know, things change. Over the 5 months after I was first introduced to Arbonne to when I actually like had an ID with Arbonne, was a very tumultuous time filled with lots of Carrie Kane inviting me to things, me happily going because Carrie's amazing, but then like pretty much like poking holes. I was like one of those, like poking holes, like, oh, that nutrition stuff, that's not going to work. Just eat real food. Like I was one of those people. And so on March 8th, 2017, when I went to Carrie after like taking all of her free samples for 5 months, going to all of her events that she invited me to and shooting down all the things, I said, I think I'm going to sign up as a consultant. And Carrie looked at me and she's like, really? Which was, of course, a glowing endorsement. So that is where I started my business. And you guys, I will tell you, in all things in life, I have never shied away from taking big risks, making big decisions. If I knew that I was following my purpose, it's the reason that I got into nursing in the first place. It's the reason that I said yes to this business 7.5 years ago. And over the last few years, I have really kind of fallen away from that. And it's been the longest part of my entire journey of my entire life where I have felt so disconnected to what am I actually supposed to be doing? How am I actually supposed to be spending my time? My kids are getting older. I have two daughters, they're 11 and 13. And I have really put into question over the last 4 years, like a lot of us have, am I spending my days the way that I'm meant to? Am I making an impact in this world? So I always say earnings.arbonne.com. My journey was typical. It was like to a T back when I promoted to these various levels. It was like in the chart. I know the chart doesn't have a time frame now, but back then when it had a time frame, I was like it. So district in 6 weeks and then area manager in a year. I was a bonusing area for a couple years between that. And then when I promoted to regional vice president in May of 2020, I had stepped away about a year prior from that telephonic case management RN position that I said that I would never, ever leave. And so I have spent the last 4 years in a lot of the same boat as a lot of you may have. Not quite wondering, in May of 2020, we didn't just like eke out and promote. We had on paper a strong, wide, stable organization. And just like so many businesses, by the end of summer, they were like all in witness protection. Like, does anyone still have a phone number anymore? It was kind of one of those situations. And so as we did not build super quickly. We really felt like we had a strong, stable organization. And again, 2020, 2021, we're just a different kind of beast. And we really felt that impact, just like so many people on this call, if you were in Arbonne at the time, probably did. There was a lot going on in the world. There was a lot going on in Arbonne, a lot going on in people's personal lives. And so over the past 4 years, I feel like I've lived 4 lifetimes over the past 4 years. I don't know if anybody can relate, but we've moved to Seattle and then back to Ohio. I've homeschooled my kids and put them back into school. We had my grandfather move in with us. I took care of him. He passed away a few months later. So we really I have dedicated my priorities and my full focus in a lot of different directions in the last 4 years. And Arbonne has always been a part of that. That's just looked a lot different in different seasons over the past 4 years. So maybe that's something that people on this call can relate to. So through the last 4 years, I never once wavered in my belief that Arbonne is the best company. I have never doubted that there is success in this company. But over the last 4 years, on and off, I've just wondered, is that success here for me? Is this something that I'm meant to do? Is this something that, when I first said yes 7.5 years ago, I pictured myself as an executive national vice president. Is that still where I feel like my future is with this company? And so that's been something really difficult for me to wrestle with. Any other Enneagram 3s on the call? Like, it's really difficult for me to half-ass anything. And so if I'm going to do it, I want to do it big. I want to do it the best. Like, that is just my personality. And so kind of sitting in this like one toe in, one toe out over the last several years has been uncomfortable. It's actually been probably one of the most uncomfortable seasons of my business that I've had. And so I see my sister-in-laws on this call. I never, ever turn down an opportunity to go to an Arbonne event. You can tell me like, we're making Rice Krispie treats at somebody's house. I'm like, Arbonne event? Like, I'm there, I'm going. Our retreat, GTC, like, just don't miss. So my sister-in-law and I were at GTC, and we were having a conversation about how I've been spending my time over the last year. And since we moved back from Seattle, it's been about a year and a half. I have like thrown myself whole hog into all of the kids' school stuff. Like you name it, I have volunteered for it. I've been president and vice president of our school board. I run the drama program. I now run our lunch program. Like I'm telling you, all in, all the things. And I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law back in June at GTC about all of these things and just the frustrations that I've been having and the conflicts with people. And like, you know, when you have worked in Arbonne, there's like a certain high vibe level that you're used to people working within. And working outside of that becomes like intolerable. Like, what are these people complaining about? Like, life is so good, you know? And so my sister-in-law, Michelle, was like, it really just doesn't seem like this is like a super great environment for you to be in. And it was just one conversation that we had and one comment that she made that I was like, you know what? I've actually been pretty miserable. And like I say that I am sacrificing my time and doing all of this for my kids when I know that the best thing I can do for my kids is be the best version of myself. So I think a lot of times we do that, right? Like we tell ourselves, like we're doing this for our kids or we're doing this for our spouse. And we have almost like this martyrdom to it. But really, the best thing that we can do for everybody around us, everybody that we love, is to align and live within our purpose. And so that one conversation really got me to thinking like, when was I the most high vibe, positive, most aligned, impactful, like kicking butt and taking names, all the things? It was when I was doing Arbonne. It was when I was the most fully immersed in this community, in my business, fully aligned, doing what I knew that I was meant to do. And so this past 2 weeks ago, we went to Danielle Lover's house for our area manager retreat, because like I said, I don't miss a retreat. And at the retreat, you guys, I went into it. And even though I've been like kind of mulling on this like idea of alignment and purpose and how should I be spending my time and all of these things, I've been mulling on this since June. I did not walk into this retreat with any expectations. I did not have any prayers to change my heart or to give me a sign, nothing, none of that. I was like, I'm sharing a room with Cheryl and Carrie, and it's going to be amazing. Like that is the only thing that was on my mind and heart coming into this retreat. And you guys, this is why it's so important to show up to things. You're here tonight, and I'm so proud of you for being here tonight. You absolutely never know when you're going to hear the thing that like changes everything and makes all the difference. And so if you have been struggling with those same thoughts of doubt, whether it's in yourself, in your purpose in this, whatever it is, keep showing up, keep listening, keep showing up with an open heart. Okay, so my key takeaways from the retreat, both Danielle and Carrie both shared about struggles that they've had over the last 4 years. And for me, that was really just evident to see like they're these marvelous and wonderful ENVPs, and they struggle. They struggle with things in their lives. And of course they do. But I think hearing those stories was so relatable for me and so much like, okay, like I'm not doing something wrong. Like I'm not doing something wrong if I struggle. I'm not doing something wrong if my business takes a dip. Like these are normal things. And that was very validating for me. The Tara Landys shared, what you do is who you are. And this goes back to, the alignment with our purpose and with our vision. She said, your behavior and your choices are what define you. How I'm spending my time is evidence of my priorities, and I've not been in alignment with that. This was a complete light bulb moment for me. So it was followed up. We got to hear from Ashley Strong, and she talked about the importance of establishing a routine. So this is all kind of like coming together for me. I'm like, okay, how do I, live in that alignment? I structure my routine. How do I do that? I choose things within my routine that align with my priorities. Like this is nothing new to anybody on this call, but sometimes in the right moment, you just need to hear these things. Okay, and the last one, oh, I skipped one thing. Okay, when I think it was when Danielle did her training, we filled out these papers. I don't know if you can read this because Greg has his fancy computer situation on, but it says, what if my income and my business stays the same? So we were asked to fill out these 2 sheets. One was, what if my income and business stays the same in the next year? And what if my income was over 6 figures a year? So we were asked to sit down, write 7 things on each paper. And you guys, it got so real because I will tell you what, I have been telling myself for a really long time that I don't need this business, that take it or leave it, like it's totally fine. And when I sat down and did this exercise, like one thing that was totally missing and that was completely eluding me is like, I'm not living in alignment with my purpose, and that is having an impact on my family. So that in connection with Lisa Dooley had us write a letter to a loved one. I wrote a letter to my daughters. You guys, like I was completely destroyed by the end of that. And again, like I was not having like a bad time in life or like anything like that. By the end of this, I was just like, oh my God, Tara says same, sobbing. Like just sobbing. I'm like, this is what has been missing. Like, I want to set an example for my daughters. Like, that is the number one thing that I want to do. And in order to do that, like, I need to be living my best, most positive, most high vibe self. And I know how to do that. Like, we have all been taught how to do that. So with those 2 things in connection, I definitely recommend this exercise. So what if everything stays the same, income and business stays the same, list 7 things. What if your income was over 6 figures a year? Do this exercise, write 7 things down and share them with your upline or VP. Because on the way home, I rode all the way out to Chicago and back with Carrie and Mickey and Emily. And I'm like, Carrie, I have to share this with you. This is something that I typically would have been too proud to share. Typically, I wouldn't have wanted anybody to see that, like, these are things that I'm consumed with, that I worry about, like setting a good example for my kids, like providing more income for my husband and for my family. These are not things that, like, again, as a very proud Enneagram 3, that I would be okay, like just talking about and admitting. But I'm like, Carrie, I want you to read these because I want you to understand them and I want you to hold me accountable. Like, I want you to remind me of these things when I've gone so far in the direction of justifying and minimizing that they don't matter. Like, I want you to bring me back to these things. Okay. So let's talk about routine. All right. So how many of you have like had like a season where you were a little bit disengaged in your business and you've had like a well-meaning upline or friend or sideline be like, well, just like do 50 reach outs, like get back in, get back to activity. And how many of you have like sat down with your 90-day habits and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Today's the day. It's Monday. It's the first of the month. It's October 1st, Tuesday. We're going to do that. So you sit down and you look at these blank sheets and you're like, okay, who do I reach out to? And you start scrolling. And then you're like, what do I ask them? And you start like doing the thing. And then you do nothing. And then like another 3 months goes by and you go to another retreat and you're like, oh yeah, I was going to do that thing. And then I didn't do it. Okay. Your call to action tonight is not to do 50 reach outs in the next 24 hours. So take a deep breath. I think we need to go a little bit deeper. I think that if we're going to share with purpose, we first need to be aligned in our purpose. So how do we do that? Even though I'm currently reading a book entitled Don't Look Back, so good. We got it as a gift from the retreat from Danielle. We're going to give ourselves permission to look back for just a second. Okay, so I want you to think back to a time that you were your most aligned, high vibing, living in your purpose self, when you were absolutely on fire, changing lives. And if you're brand new to this business, it doesn't have to be when you were within the Arbonne business, but just a time that you were like really just killing it in life. Okay, so even better if you can think of a season or a month, write that down. So right now, write down a year. You're like, you know what? I was having like a really good year. I was feeling good. I was doing all the things that are on like my list of things that I want to do. Okay, now think back to the environment that you created to be aligned in that purpose. This has absolutely nothing to do with reach outs, and it has everything to do with our routine. What we choose to do on a daily basis, because our routine, for better or worse, completely dictates our mindset and therefore our business. Okay, so in church yesterday, the message was on taking care of our soil. And we cannot expect good things to grow in our lives if we aren't taking the time to mend our soil. And your soil is your responsibility. Weeds will grow in literally anything. They don't care. If you want to grow the best fruit, you need to make sure that you're tending to and mending your soil well. And this all comes down to your habits, that environment that you create for yourself. If you put absolutely no effort into your soil whatsoever, you'll still exist within an environment. You'll still have soil. It's just going to be really crappy. Um, so here's your homework. I want you to spend some time this week really thinking about when you were the best version of yourself and how you were spending your days. And I don't want you just to think about it. I want you to actually research it. So I am a nurse. My husband's a scientist. We're very like researchy science minded. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to your web stats. I want you to take back to that month or year or whatever. And I want you to look who was on your team. Who were your best PCs? What ICs did you have working hard? Now, you're not necessarily going in here so that you can be like, oh, yeah, I should call Sharon because she was a badass. And she was, no, that's like not what we're doing here. Maybe that's going to happen. Save Sharon for just a hot minute. The point is to connect with the you that you were back when all that was happening. Look at your calendar. Did you use an iPhone calendar? A paper calendar? What appointments did you keep? Did you meet with your upline monthly? Were you doing regular power hours? If you have a faith, what did your faith life look like? Were you meeting with a personal trainer? What was your fitness routine? Did you have an accountability partner for your business? And how regularly were you checking in? More importantly, what was not on your calendar back then that's there now? And I want you to also make a list of those things and look at them and ask yourself, are those new time commitments actually in line with your current top priorities? And I want you to reassess. If you keep a journal, look back at your entries during that time. What were your thoughts and feelings at that time? What people did you allow to speak into your life on a regular basis? What truths did you believe then that are wavering now? If you create goal cards or dream boards, what things were you working towards, praying for, or dreaming of? What books were you reading at that time? Go through your Audible, your library history, your Amazon account, or if you keep an annual log of books that you read, what books were inspiring you back then? So after you've reviewed all of that, I want you to write down 3 things that you know that if you either omitted from your routine or if you consistently added to your routine would move the needle in the right direction. And then I want you to take action. Maybe it's finding an accountability partner in your business or fitness. Maybe it's going back to reading 10 pages before bed instead of scrolling. Whatever it is for you, make a commitment. These are not usually hard things to do. We hear that all the time. Like they're so easy to do, but they're so easy not to do as well. So make sure that you write them down somewhere where you're looking every day. Start small if you need to, but commit to doing those on a regular basis. Okay. So practically, what things have I been doing in the last few weeks to few months to the last year to reignite my business? So Carrie and I, again, in the car with Mickey and Emily, you can just picture it, lots of masterminds that I get to ride home with. We are talking about the plan, we're sharing, and we're talking about what our goal is over the next quarter. Carrie and I, so Carrie started, if you're in the Law of Our Success line, you know that we're doing a full healthy habits group that Carrie is running right now. And it was her commitment to get 10 people to say yes to being in this group. And I'm like, well, if she's going to say, yeah, like 10, I'm going to say 10. Okay, so last week I got my 10th yes. Okay, so this is fully attributed to the fact for the last 2 weeks, I have been creating the environment necessary to my routine that I know that I need to be successful. And again, some of these things have been percolating. This has not just been like the last 2 weeks and like everything has changed. The last 2 weeks have really just been a culmination of puzzle pieces fitting together and things clicking. Okay, so make your daily routine items non-negotiable. Give yourself an affirmation or a mantra that you repeat when you inevitably attempt to justify why you can't do the thing. Okay, so even just today, I have been doing such a good job of saying, like, making these commitments. I am like, I've got my power hours, I've got my time commitments. I got a phone call. It was like an emergency that wasn't really that I like took time to go to the school. And I was driving home and I'm like, why did I say yes to that? Like, these are the habits that we get into that we need to get out of. We need to have better boundaries around our time commitments to ourselves. We need to be quicker to say yes to ourselves and no to others. Okay. So, accountability. I want to talk about this for a second because in the times that everything has been going really well for me, my business, my family, my life, I have had accountability in things. And I think that this is so important and I think it can't be underestimated. So if you are like a solo bird and you just like doing things on your own, take heart and try to hear what I have to say. So, if you have an accountability partner that you check in with at least weekly, I want you to raise your hand. You guys are so good. You guys are so good. If you were in this business in 2019 and 2020 and you had an accountability partner that you were checking in with weekly, raise your hand. Okay. All right. So for me, I was like accountability back in 2019, 2020, when I was like, working towards region, our team was going region. I was checking in with my accountability partner on like a daily basis. That's something that I have really fallen away from. And it's something that I am committed to doing both in my business and in fitness. So Cheryl and I are doing a daily power hour. But you guys, the first power hour that I did the day after I got back from Chicago, I'm like, Danielle had challenged us in Chicago, we've got our 90-day habits book. She's like, there's 108 days left in the year. This is 2 weeks ago. And she's like, I challenge each of you to complete the 90-day habits book by the end of the year. That gives you Sunday off. That gives you Christmas off, whatever. I challenge you to do that. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to be consistent. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do that. So I come home. I'm like on fire. The next morning, I'm like, anybody want to do a power hour? Crickets. And that's okay. It's okay. Because you know what? My dog and I, we did the power hour and I kept showing up the next day. Like other people had their schedules already, whatever, and it was fine. Like the important thing was I kept showing up the next day and I invited somebody else to be part of it. And then I invited somebody else to be part of it. And you guys, you have to be the leader of your business. You can't wait around for other people to invite you to the power hours or to hold the healthy habits dinners or whatever. Like you have to be that person for your business. But I promise you that when you show up and you start doing those things consistently, people will follow. So Cheryl and I, for the last 2 weeks, have been doing power hours every weekday. And I have completed 2 weeks worth of the 90 habits, 2 weeks under my belt. So we're kind of on fire with that. So find someone who is engaged and wants to work side by side. Schedule power hour. It's so much better with friends. Brainstorm ideas, ask for advice, sharing your wins. Cheryl and I were talking about times that we were meeting the most people. We're both like, we need to really like grow in meeting new people, growing our networks. And so we were challenging each other to kind of think back through what were the times that we were meeting the most people. And I was like, you know what? I have this friend, Rachel. She's hosted for me over the last 7 years, probably 3 or 4 times. And to this day, I probably have like 5 or 6 PCs in my organization that I met through events that she hosted. I'm like, I'm going to ask her to host. So I did. She said yes. And our event is a week from tonight. So I would have never even thought to ask Rachel had I not had that conversation with Cheryl. You guys, we make each other better. Like we are there to help each other. And if we are keeping to ourselves in our own little bubble, we are missing out on so much wisdom, like so many ideas, so much support, so much love. So reach out to somebody, do those power hours, get your accountability in line. Okay, what else? I've also, I was like, how did my dog get in here? I heard her tippy toes. I've also worked out 6 out of 7 days over the last 2 weeks because Carrie and I are accountability partners in fitness. You guys, we started this a year ago and we were on such a roll. And then I hurt my foot and everything fell apart and we stopped working out for a solid year. And that's another thing that I want to tell you with accountability partners. Like for both of us, we both had our own things going on. But if someone quits, find a new accountability partner. Carrie, I'll never replace you. I'm certainly not saying that I'm going to replace you, but like, don't let the accountability partner dynamic pull you out of the game if something happens on the other side of that. Find somebody else to run with and keep going. I did not. So do as I say, not as I do, but we're back at it. What's funny is I had like a reminder in my phone every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, workout with Carrie at 7:30 a.m. that literally went off 4 4 days a week. It was on Saturday too. 4 days a week for an entire year, you guys. I never cleared it out. I never turned it off. It pinged 4 times a week. And I'm like, oh yeah, we should do that. So I never gave up, never gave up. Okay. I'm reading every single day and I'm doing daily affirmations. Highly recommend. Okay. So here's a little bit in terms of like activity. What are we doing here? Create an event for people to be plugged into. We talked a little bit about that. Carrie and I love doing events together. We live a couple houses down. We're forcing Cora to do a protein making ball or protein ball making, make and take it's next week because we're both terrible at making protein balls. Something to like plug people into. I've seen so many amazing ideas in this group. I've seen people do like yoga events, goat walks. Like I've seen all the things that you guys have been doing and it's amazing. So keep doing that, create community. And if nobody around you is doing it, don't be afraid to be the one that starts that. Keep showing up on social media. If you want to find your people, you have to be you. You have to keep showing up as you. People need to see you. They need to see your face and they need to see you being your authentic self. Service your clients and PCs. And the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, because I love it so dang much, is replenish me. You guys, if you guys are not taking advantage of replenish me, you are missing out on a huge service that Arbonne is offering. I could do an entire training just on replenish me. So about a year ago, I had been telling Carrie Kane, I'm like, please tell them to improve our auto ship program. Like, they should be doing this, this, this. And then you guys, they did it. So like a year ago, I'm like, okay, I have so many people that this would benefit. I reached out to them. You guys, this has been like great continuous whatever over the last year. For clients, for PCs, for us, like it is a win for absolutely everyone. So here's what I want you to do. If you're not using Replenish Me, I want you to log on. Danielle, are you able to share your screen with me? I did pull this up if we had. Or can I share my screen with you?
Yes, I'll make you the host. Just 1 second.
Okay. Because I want to show you this, you guys. I'm like a really big, like, numbers and stats and all the things dweeb. And I really want to show you this. Okay, so with the Replenish Me program, what I'm going to show you is how to look up, and a lot of you probably already know this, but for those that don't, how to look up people who are spending a good amount of money in your business every single year, month, whatever. Those people should be on Replenish Me. And if you send a simple message to them and just say, even if they're people who have like lapsed, let's say you had somebody that was using protein for years and years and then they fell off. Guess what? They probably forgot to order 1 month. They probably went to Costco. They probably got it there. It was more convenient and that's what they've used ever since. I can guarantee you that in your web stats, you have some of those people. It's time to re-engage them and show them why Replenish Me is so amazing. Okay. Oh, I can. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen? I can't, Danielle's nodding, I think.
We can see it, yes.
Okay. All right. So I want to show you, if you guys go to the PC VIP renewals and rewards, pick whatever month. So if you want to go back to like when you were killing it in your business, I definitely recommend that you do it right now, December of every year that you've been in this business, because it's going to show you a year to date. So you want to go back and look at like December. Or like months, years that you were absolutely killing it is a must. All right, so go over here where it says year to date. Everybody can see that. Pick the greater than symbol, and I put in 1,000. Okay, what this is telling you is year to date to this point, these are all of the people who have ordered at least 1,000 QV in your success line. Some of these might be yours direct, some might not. What you want to look at are these people that are over 1,000. Reach out to these people and find out what they're ordering. You can go into their orders, see what they're ordering, and then ask them, like very simply, we have this amazing Replenish Me program. If they're people who have expired, I would just I did this a year ago, just shoot them a message and say, hey, I know that you were really loving the protein for years and years or months and months. And, I just wanted to let you know about this new program, Replenish Me. It's so easy. It will like drop protein on your porch on whatever schedule you want. The best part is you get the same amazing rewards that you got as a preferred client and more. Do you want to know more about that? I send them like the one pager on Replenish Me. They're like, yeah, girl, sign me up. And we go from there. So definitely take some time. That's all I wanted to show you on my screen share. Definitely take the time to look up who has been spending money in your business. Like, make it easy for them. This is a service to them. Definitely do that. I think that's it. That's it. I had to end on Replenish Me. I love it so much.
I adore you. I know Carrie jumped on, so I'm gonna see if she wants to close this up. Carrie, are you there? Sarah, that was like fire. That was like so encouraging, so much vision, so much practical stuff. The chat was blowing up. Oh, I just saw Carrie on mute, so I'm gonna let Carrie close us down.
Well,
Thank you, Sarah.
I'm here, but I.
Okay, we are not gonna let Carrie.
But,
oh, hold on.
I don't know if you guys could hear. I can't hear.
Yeah, sorry. Carrie's out. No, Carrie.
Poor Carrie. She's just living it up on her birthday. I hope she's having the best day ever.
I know that her phone has had horrible service. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, that was fantastic. I think it was something that a lot of people needed just through reading through the chat. Thank you for being so vulnerable, honestly. I think it's just so encouraging for other people. You know, sometimes we can, as MVPs and stuff, we can do the calls and talk about hard times, but I feel like it's just so valuable for people to hear from their peers that like it was hard and here's what I did to get through it and here's how I'm thriving. And there is so much. I love that you talked about the routine because I've also been in a season now where I am just focusing on the routine and doing the things that I know are going to make me feel and operate at my best, which is, like I said, why I look like this, because I didn't get my workout in and I just did it. But I know by doing those things, like I'm having better results in my business. So I'm going to listen to this multiple times. I know everybody else will. We'll get the recording out. I will share, I put it in the chat, but I'll share the 2 documents from our retreat, the what if documents and the Ashley Strong call, because I feel like everybody can benefit from that. But Sarah, thank you so much. This was just such a huge blessing. And I think that you are setting people up. I think it's perfect that it was close night because I think people are going to wake up tomorrow on October 1st and just like do what you need to do, you guys. And like she said, she came home and she put it out there and she was the only person on the work session. And so many times we talk ourselves out of it, but it's you against you. So show up in a way that will make you proud in October and let's just go smash this 4th quarter. So love you all. Have a good night.